Jews, we all can learn from this amazing, amazing gift that Aaron was given. God never separates us from us. No matter how impure a person has been or is, it never is an excuse to give up. There's always where to grow from. Every single little addition that a person adds. This week's second Torah portion is Parashat Bechukotai, and the final portion in the book of Leviticus, the book of Vayikra. The verse in the beginning of the portion starts off by telling us that if we go in God's path and we follow His Torah and mitzvot, we'll be blessed. Then later on, the Torah tells us, and if not, well, you'll be cursed. It's very, very serious. Literally cursed. The Zera Shimshon, he looks at the beginning of the Torah portion and he says, wow, boy is this portion very wordy. He says, what's going on? And I'll read to you the verse. The verse says as follows, Im bechukotai telechu, if you go in my ways, vet mitzotai tishmeru, and if you guard and observe the mitzvot, va'asitem otam, and you will do them. Whoa, that's triple the terminology, right? It's going, it's guarding, and it's doing. It's a little wordy. Later on, when it speaks about not keeping God's will, it's also very wordy. It says, Vim lo tishmeu, and if you don't listen, velo ta'asu, and you don't do all of these mitzvot. It says after that, Vim bechukotai timasu, and then you will now be hated. So it's triple terminology both times over, and it's very wordy to say the same thing. Either are you doing it and you'll be blessed, or are you not doing it and following it and will you be cursed? So the Shimshon is bothered. He's not so direct on his question, he more leaves it like it's getting too wordy over here, what's going on? To this he gives, in my opinion, a fascinating concept that many of us might have overlooked, yet when we understand it, we see the human nature says as so. That we have an obligation to do two more things that we might have not thought of. Number one, to love mitzvot, and number two, hate averot, hate sins. Why? So Zera Shimshon explains. He says, if you only hate averot, if you only hate sin, well, that might be enough to only prevent you from sinning, but it won't make you do the right thing. It won't make you do mitzvot. And vice versa. If you only love mitzvot, well, that means that you will do mitzvot, but it doesn't mean you won't do averot. So therefore, we need both, the Zera Shimshon says. We need to love mitzvot, so we are committed to observing them, and we need to hate averot so that we are committed to never transgressing them. And that's the story of our lives. Always making sure that we up the love of mitzvot and suppress the love of averot, or to augment the hate of our averot, of doing transgressions. He says as follows, that when the Torah tells us in the beginning by the blessings, Im bechukotai telechu, if you go with this obligation and this importance of going in the ways that God set us, what way did God set us? To hate averot. That's im bechukotai telechu. And then, what does it mean by guarding it? By guarding means love the mitzvot. So that's the first two. The first is telechu, going in, following, is hating averot. And then lishmor, to observe, that's loving averot, loving mitzvot. And then va'asitem otam, and then you will be able to do it, because you need both of those aspects. But now when it comes to the curse, it's not in the same order and it's different. It says, V'im lo tishmeu, and if you don't listen to what? If you don't listen to this rule, that you need both of these concepts, the concept of loving mitzvot and hating averot, then, and lo ta'asu, and you won't do this, so you're not going to listen to this concept, you won't do this concept, then you will be timasu, you will be hated by God, and lo alenu, cursed. It's a very serious and scary thing. Our Torah has 2 times that it speaks about curses. Once in this week's Torah portion, Parashat Bechukotai, and once in Dvarim, in the book of Deuteronomy, by Ki Tavo. 2 times. Only 2 times. Now, if we count in this week's Torah portion how many curses are mentioned for one who does not follow in the way of God in the Torah, it's 49 times. If you count in Ki Tavo, it's 98 times, and by no chance, it's exactly double. The Zera Shimshon asks, why? What's the difference? 49, 98, it should be the same. So look what he says. He says, while the Jewish people were in the desert, as in this week's Torah portion, they were still in one way only responsible for themselves. Again, they were still living in a miraculous lifestyle. The clouds, the man, the water of the well, they were still living in some spiritual daze. And therefore, they were each responsible for themselves. Yet, in Ki Tavo, it's Ki Tavo La'aretz, when the Jewish people entered the land of Israel and now went into the real world, they now became real people, real world, no more miracles. At that point, each and every person was responsible for their fellow as well. And therefore, it was doubled. One, because if chas v'shalom you don't keep, it's on your head. That's the first 49. And the second 49 given to 98 is if your fellow doesn't, it's your responsibility also. And chas v'shalom. And this is the halakha of understanding the Torah, that if other Jews are not following the will of God, the Jewish people as a whole are cursed and punished from it. And I hate to say it, but this is the way it is. We see in our Jewish history righteous, pious, beautiful Jewish people who no harm should have ever gotten in their way had horrible tragedies. For example, the Inquisition, and what happened with pogroms, and the Holocaust. And there's no need for me to keep on going on. There was so many tragedies. How did these good people have such sad endings? It was because the Jewish people as a whole were not taking responsibility for one another, and the curses befall, unfortunately, upon the whole nation. So what does this mean to us? This does not mean for us to now get depressed and say, I'm cursed because of myself and I'm cursed because of others. There's no point in that. You know what we should do? We should say it's my responsibility to not only take care of myself, but to take care of my fellow brothers and sisters. By inspiring them, by enlightening them, by treating them well, by embracing them and bringing them to the place we have got to, the place of trying to understand God's Word and live by God's Word. And may the merit of our understanding and our trying to better ourselves and our families, and the merit of the Zera Shimshon studying His holy words, give us blessing that there will be no more curses, not for any Jew in the whole world, only blessing. And the Torah tells us how to do it. If you follow God's word, follow God's will, there will only be blessing. If not, there's the opposite. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless us. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.